You're listening to Health in Harlem on Whcr 90.3 FM New York, the voice of Harlem.
The voice of Harlem.
And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have from Harlem Hospital,
my good friend,
Miss Stephanie Harewood. Hello. And welcome to the show, Miss Harewood. Miss Harewood, ladies and gentlemen, is the Associate Director of Volunteer Services at Harlem Hospital. It is National Volunteer Week, and we're talking about getting out there and making a difference in your community, in your city, in your country, in the world.
And donate your time.
For real, for real. And, you know, there's nothing more valuable than human resources, right? We talk about curing all of these problems in the country and throughout the world.
Every week.
Throwing money at all of these things.
Yep.
Throwing money at education and making all of these reforms. But when it comes down to it,
sometimes we don't have the money.
Human resources are pretty much the thing that's going to solve all of these problems. Correct. When people put the time in, put the energy in, bring their passion to the table, that's when we see differences made. That's when we see improvement. That's when we see progress. So welcome to the show, Ms. Harewood. And can you tell us what you do on a daily basis?
She just took a deep breath.
I know.
To get ready.
Yes, I did.
Because you bring the human resources to the hospital and put people in action. So can you talk to us about community service at Harlem?
It's funny that you said that because volunteer services is often referred to as a mini human resources department.
Wow.
And we do just about everything that human resources do. We recruit volunteers for the hospital. We screen them. We put them through the application process, which can be pretty involved. You know, we do background investigations. We have to do health screenings, make sure that they're okay to work with our patients, and then we assign them to various departments based on their skills and their interests and what the departments are looking for.
Got it. Okay. So can you tell me some of the reasons? What are some of the reasons why people come to volunteer in the first place?
Well, the main reason is they want to give back. They always want to give back to the community. They want to help out in the hospital. A lot of times, especially the younger volunteers, they want to be with the babies. You know, they want to be with kids. So, yeah, they love the babies. And so they want to do something to help others. That's the main thing. We try to, like I said, match up their interests and their skills with what the hospital actually needs. So if we have someone, let's say, with a nursing background, we will try to put them into the nursing department. They can bring ice to the patients. You know, they can make beds. They can read to the patients. We have outreach programs with our HIV services. That is really big. We have a huge amount of volunteers in that department. They go out, they do community outreach, they talk to people with this condition, you know, they advocate.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Would you say that volunteering at the hospital is, I guess, a good way to obtain that on-the-job training, or that like if somebody wants to experience, somebody wants to start their career, whatever, and not necessarily, I mean, yes, it's always about giving back, but let's just say they want to jumpstart their career. Is that also a good avenue to take, would you say?
Absolutely. It exposes the volunteer to different healthcare careers, especially younger volunteers. We have a lot of high school students. They're not sure what they want to do, but they want to be in the healthcare profession. Not everybody wants to be a doctor or nurse.
True story.
So we expose them to other careers such as pharmacy, central sterile, you know, rehabilitation, medicine, different things that they can do, and they can build their skills. And sometimes, there's no guarantee, and we do not offer this, but sometimes it might lead to employment with the hospital, and it has on occasion.
And I can testify to that about how these things can lead to unimaginable roads if you just take the time to, or donate your time, as Sean said. That's really what it is. If you don't got $1 to donate, then guess what? Donating your time is probably more valuable, and we're going to talk about that throughout the night. But going back to what you both said just now, when people jump starting their careers, we have a conference coming up, the Mentoring in Medicine. Yes, I can be a healthcare professional conference coming up. And one of the things that's going to be asked is, how can I improve my candidacy for medical school? How can I improve my candidacy for nursing? or physician assistant school and these things. And the thing that's always mentioned across the board in any of these things is volunteer, and volunteer in a healthcare setting, especially in a hospital. And there's a like myriad reasons for that. And as Sean said, it's getting the on-the-job training, but it's also making sure that this is something that you want to do. Because when you're in there and you see the stuff that's going down day to day, you see somebody, you know, maybe blood, or you see people with deformities, people with secretions or excretions coming out, that might not be for you. But then you realize, okay, maybe I don't want to deal with this. Maybe not on the level of a nurse, but maybe I'll do social work instead, which is another avenue in the hospital, another field in the hospital. Maybe I want to be the director of food and nutrition, like my man Sean Shivers.
Okay, you can have my job.
Or maybe I want to coordinate the volunteers and you know. So this is a way to get experience. This is a way to get exposure. A way to build your reputation in your community, and as a professional, a developing or burgeoning professional. So this is the way to go, and that's one of the things that I see across the board. Admissions committees, if they don't see this critical component, then you're dead in the water.
Yeah, it's true. And so that's why a lot of our high school kids, they start in high school, they have to do community service, and it's
that's
certain
where I started
certain
in high school. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Staten Island University Hospital.
Oh, what did you do? What did you do?
And I would shadow the physicians, and basically anything that I was capable of doing under my, I guess you could say, scope of practice. And it was some of the things you said, bringing water to the patients, or helping with feeding a patient, things of that nature, seemingly small things, but you know, it made a difference in the end.
That's interesting. I started out as a volunteer. My first volunteer experience was at Kings County Hospital as a candy striper.
Wow. What is a candy striper?
Yeah. So who knew that later on in life I would become the director of volunteer services?
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to mention, this is what I tell a lot of volunteers that come through my department, is that the opportunity is there. No one is going to give it to you. The resources are there if you want to move forward. Because I have like people who actually did come through my department, and I'm going to say even some of my employees, you know, they said that, you know, I'm kind of interested in what goes on in the social work department. You know, I had an employee who said that I'm interested in what's going on in hospital police as far as criminology. I had a volunteer who was very interested in anesthesiology, and I had said that it's there if you want it. You just have to ask for it. No one's going to hand it to you. So that's one thing I can say about Harlem Hospital compared to other hospitals that I worked at, is that there's no wall up. No, if you show the interest, someone is going to push you in that direction.
Yeah, so if the volunteer comes to us and tell us, and Sean has had a lot of volunteers that come through his department. He's always harassing me for volunteers, and we're always happy to provide them for him. But someone who's interested in another area, then we will contact that area. We'll talk to them. We'll tell them what the volunteer is interested in, and try to make a match and hook them up with that department. And a lot of times it does work out.
Okay. So what are the age groups that are typically involved? Are we seeing just more, because you said a lot of times it's the high school students trying to build up their resumes for college, or we got the pre-professional students, and even retire. Okay, we're talking all age groups.
Yes, we start at 16 years of age. You have to be 16 years of age. Have to have your working papers and permission from your parents.
Makes sense.
To volunteer. And our oldest volunteer right now is 94 years.
I know, I saw that on 94 years.
That
old.
is
94 years.
What department is that? What
pastoral
area?
care. He is a volunteer chaplain.
Okay.
Yeah, you know him.
Amazing.
And, yeah, it's amazing. 94 years. And he's still volunteering.
How long has he been?
Okay,
how long has he been volunteering for the hospital?
He's been volunteering with us for almost 20 years.
That's what I'm talking about.
Almost 20 years. So it's a wide range, from 16 to 94, and in between. So we get college students, we get people who, unfortunately, because of the economy right now, they're not working, so they want to come in. They want to maintain their skills, and
stay busy.
Yes, stay busy, and they bring a different skill mix, to us. And so it's a different types of people who come in to volunteer.
So I'm curious to know, out of all the individuals that come to Harlem Hospital to volunteer, what type of volunteer work do they ask for, or do you find yourself placing a lot of individuals?
Most of the individuals we place in clerical positions,
Okay.
administrative positions.
Gotcha.
In order for you to actually, be placed in a clinical setting, we really reserve those for our students. We have student internships with various colleges. We have several contracts with various colleges, one of the city colleges, as a matter of fact. And we place students in the clinical areas. For those volunteers who are in clinical areas, their tasks are limited to, like I said, bringing ice, making beds. They cannot do hands-on work with our patients.
And basically, I think, to my understanding, and you had told me this before, that if somebody does volunteer, a lot of time is shadowing. That they have to be working side by side with somebody for the most part. Is that what it is?
That's an observership.
Okay.
And a lot of our medical students ask for that opportunity to come in and shadow or observe a physician. And we have to limit it because we have a lot of students who ask for that for 3 months. A 3-month period of time that you're assigned to a department and shadow. You shadow a physician.
Okay. And the reason why I asked that question was because I didn't want people to feel that they would be alienated because they're in a certain age group and, it's a bunch of high school students that are volunteering down there. I'm a retiree. What do I have in common with these young people? And you might have some individuals that say, well, there's an exchange. I could learn from an exchange from these younger individuals, and they can learn from me. I learn from them. But not everyone's like that. And there's some people that might want to work with people in their age group. But we now know that this spans all ages. There's volunteers, all ages, all backgrounds.
Well, I want to kind of speak on it because, we always talk about the baby boomers, individuals who was born in 1946. And then we also always talk about the new generation, the millennium. I know in my area, and I know some other areas, they try to put the younger generation with the older generation as far as bringing them up to speed as far as technology, and then they take the older generation and they put them with the new cats as far as as far as loyalty and as far as job security, because a lot of times, from my experience, and that's not only at Harlem Hospital, a lot of individuals don't necessarily want to work with their age brackets. They want to work with a younger age bracket or older age bracket as far as new knowledge, new wisdom. So I'm just throwing that out there like that.
All right.
And we have a really special program. It's called Family Friends Program. And Family Friends Program is the only one in our network. And it brings together senior citizens and children at risk.
Excellent. Yeah.
And they engage in games and arts and crafts. They go to museums. They do a lot of cultural activities. But it's really special because you have the older volunteer with your younger person.
Gotcha.
And we also have a contract with the New York City Department for the Aging. So I have a foster grandparent program, and my foster grandparents are assigned to the pediatric units. I have one that's in newborn nursery, so she's nurturing the babies and talking to the mothers, and we have them in the pediatric clinic.
Excellent.
Reading to the children. So
excellent. We're going to talk more about that.
For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. You can call us at any time during this show at 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903. Remember, we have those prizes of unspecified.
You're always changing the verbiage. Unspeakable value. So put it like this. If you're the first caller, because it's starting to get dusty on my mantle in my office. If you are the first caller, you will receive a prize of unspeakable value. So please just hit us off.
I'll take a prize of unspeakable value.
Hey.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Man Up in Harlem is a by men for men ministry that focuses on creating positive changes in the Harlem community through prayer and community service. The group hosts a men's empowerment hour every Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Polo Grounds Housing Community Room, and a weekly prayer walk every Thursday morning in several locations. At the prayer walk, members pray together in a football-style huddle about community issues. Man Up in Harlem's slogan is "Don't talk about it, be about it." If you'd like to join a prayer walk, meet at 6 a.m. at the 155th subway station for the Polo Grounds House Walk, or at the Dunkin' Donuts at 126 in Amsterdam for the Grand House Walk. For more information, please check out www.manupharlem.org.
Where do you want to go to lunch? I'm having a stroke. Did you hear what I said? I'm having a stroke. Why aren't you answering me? I'm having a stroke.
What's up with your face?
I'm having a stroke.
That's not normal. Is something wrong?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having an allergic reaction?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome to the one and only Health in Harlem on WHCR. I'm Maurice Selby.
And I'm Sean Shivers.
All right. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have Miss Stephanie Harewood from Harlem Hospital.
Miss Harewood.
She is the Associate Director of Volunteer Services at the hospital. It is National Volunteer Week, and that's what we're talking about tonight, how you can go out there and get your hands dirty, or not get your hands dirty, but still make a difference in your community. So before we cut the break, though, you mentioned something. All right.
Let's jump to one real quick. Let's stay with the program.
Okay.
Now, actually, we're going to continue to promote Triggering Wounds for my boy Eric Collette at Harlem Hospital Center. They're finally having their premiere this Friday, April 26th at 7 p.m. in the Harlem Hospital Auditorium. So you take the 2 or 3 train to 135th Street, boom, go upstairs to the second floor and help promote this movie. Triggering Wounds tells the moving real-life story of a young man from Harlem coming to terms with the impact of gun violence on his life and his community. Scenes with family, emergency responders, community leaders, law enforcement, etc., etc. I'm not going to get through it, but just come on us and and support us. And because what I'm hearing that this movie is excellent.
I believe so. Eric Clyett is involved. If that man is involved,
yes,
the Director of Injury Prevention. Believe me, it is going to be an insightful and engaging program. Hands down.
Got you.
All right. So before we cut to break, we were talking about briefly about the Family Friends program. So can you expand on that for us, Ms. Harewood?
Okay, so the Family Friends program, we've had this program for many years, and it's run by Miss Valerie Wright. Do you know Valerie Wright?
Yes,
Valerie Wright.
Valerie Wright
is the producer of Health in Harlem.
Do you know Valerie Wright? She's probably listening right now.
Right. Shout out to Miss Valerie Wright.
My girl.
She probably is. So Valerie Wright is the supervisor of this program. She's been running this program and doing an excellent job at it. So what she does, she recruits seniors. And she goes out there in the community. She goes to the senior centers, and she promotes the Harlem Hospital and her programs. And she get recruits to come in, interview them. If they pass the muster, she sends them to us, and we process the application. They go through the whole application process. And these seniors are linked with children who are at risk, as I mentioned before. And they work closely with the children. They go out on Saturday events. I've been on a couple of events with them. And it's really wonderful to see the seniors working with the kids and the parents.
When you say at risk, what do you mean by children at risk? What's at risk?
Children at risk, children who have low self-esteem.
Got you.
Children who have, behavioral issues. And so they work with them. They forge a relationship with these children, exposing them to the arts, building their self-esteem, building trust, and letting them know basically that they can do it, that they're okay, that they're loved and they're cared for, and
all important things for sure.
Yeah.
So if there's a senior out there right now who's probably listening, who would like to participate in this program, who should they call?
They should call Ms. Wright at 212-939-4072.
4072. So if you want to be a part of this this program, excellent. From what I'm hearing, just call that number, and Ms. Wright will give you more details.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So that's one of the, I think, the major things with community service is that, I mean, in addition to doing these wonderful things for your community, for people, family, friends, you're also making connections with individuals that you probably never encountered or had the chance to encounter. And, this is something that, as Sean said, can be intra-generational. It could even be bringing people of the same age groups or generations together. Well, I know people that got married. They met their lifelong mate because they engaged in these activities. So this is something that, it's not just about, I'm going to do this because I want to make a difference in the community. That's a wonderful thing. Or I want to advance, my professional career. That's another wonderful thing. I want to be educated in, hospital organization and administration. That's another wonderful thing. However, you can see benefits for yourself, like substantial benefits. And we're talking about everything from as was your experience, Ms. Harewood, with eventually getting a job,
Right.
a viable, sustainable, good position in doing this. Which I've know individuals like that too that got full-time employment with benefits, excellent jobs because they started out as a volunteer. But also you could meet people and also see the health benefits of doing work like this. And it could be anything from doing, I know people that get together and do every walk there is, from the MS walk to you name it, the AIDS walk. They do all of these walks, and guess what? At the same time that you're raising all of these funds and promoting awareness for these various diseases, you're networking, you're out there on the streets, walking, getting the exercise, the cardiovascular exercise, the Harlem, the Percy Seton 5K run, doing those things. You're getting all of these benefits. Even the sunshine, just being out there in the sun, you're getting your vitamin D levels up. So there's no way in which this hurts you as an individual.
No.
Now, my next question is, what are some of the things that people use as a front, right, as excuses to not do community service? And I know you've probably heard some crazy stuff in recruiting individuals. So what are some of the things that people throw at you so that we can get rid of those? We can address those excuses.
The latest one I heard was kind of unique. Recently, someone told me that one of our requirements to volunteer is that you have to have a physical.
Got it.
And the physical is completed by at our facility, and you have to be cleared. And an individual told me a couple of days ago that they could not take a physical because of their religious beliefs. I never heard that anyone could be exempt because of that. So I reached out to the director of OHS. I'm waiting for his response. So that was something that was unique. I've never heard anyone say that. We give them an opportunity to go through their own physician and have their physicals done, and they bring in our paperwork, and we go from there. One of the things that have to be done on site is the toxicology test. So and also
basic drug test.
That's a drug test. Yes, it has to be done on site. People talk about the schedule. They want to volunteer, but I can only volunteer from midnight to whatever time, and that's not available.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Midnight.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But I could understand that for sure. That people have time constraints. There's schedule is hectic. But from my own experience, I can say that there's certain things when you really want to do something, you can make time for these things. And it might be maybe there's one day at a month, you might take a day off. You might have a day off and be like, yo, you know what? I'm going to go and do a few hours. And remember, this is volunteer work. No one expects you to come in every day or sign a timesheet. This is around your time. This is flexible for you. And I'm quite sure, and as was the case with the young lady that had the religious issue, there are ways, or your office will find ways for people to do this if they really want to do it.
You know, if you show the initiative,
right, and if it's possible, and you know, we're flexible. We try to be flexible with the individuals. If someone cannot volunteer every day, and the department needs someone every day, then we'll try to recruit 2 or 3 people. So they'll have a flex schedule, you know,
that makes sense.
They can meet their needs.
And also, I think I can see the social thing getting into it. People are like, oh, well, you know, that's my time where I hang out with, you know, these people, or this is the time that I spend with. It could be my wife or girlfriend, but.
And that's
I'm
understandable.
quite sure. Yeah.
We appreciate whatever time that they can give to us.
You got to remember,
you can give together, right? The time together or volunteer.
Well, one thing you have to remember,
but not in the same department.
Not in the same department.
Yeah. One thing you have to remember: volunteer is you're volunteering your time. So when you come to the department and say, "I want to volunteer my time," you know, yes, if your time is, if you're only available at midnight, whatever. But then the director of the department say, I appreciate it, but you know, if there's no need for you at midnight, then you know we don't need you at midnight. But you know, we thank you though. But I guess you have to be a little bit flexible as well too.
You do. You have to be. You have to be. Yeah.
One thing I want to ask, you know, because there's some right before we went to break, and I guess we can start or we can go into the next segment, is music heals. Now, yesterday, you know, I'm an American Idol fan. I can admit it. But yesterday they were talking about how some of the contestants went to one of the hospitals in Los Angeles, and they were singing to the children as far as helping them heal. And when I looked on the paper right here, there's something like that at Harlem Hospital that I did not even know. Can you get more into that whole music heals and what it is? And
it's exactly, it's bringing music to the patients to heal, to help heal. Because, you know, music is soothing. We all love music, no matter what type of music. I don't know what type you like, you know. I like jazz.
Hip-hop.
You like hip-hop?
Well, no, hip-hop. I mean, when hip-hop, you know, I like my hip-hop, I like my reggae. But then when I'm settling, I like my old school. I like my jazz.
He's an eclectic guy. He listens to a range of things.
Okay. So they bring
too much info. Go ahead. I was like, hey.
They bring music to the children. And this is another program that Valerie Wright is very involved in.
Okay.
Right now, the music heals are there with our behavioral health department.
Gotcha.
So it's an important part of the treatment plan for those clients.
Valerie needs to come on the show.
That's what I said.
Let us know what she does.
Story, man. She is up to so many things, so many projects going
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. But we know what we appreciate it, and
always.
We definitely wanted to give you a shout out, Miss Wright. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to take our second break for the evening. Remember, you can call us at 212-650-6903 if you have any questions, comments, or concerns on tonight's show. Or even sharing a volunteer experience with us that you might have had, the things that you might do for your community. I would love to hear that right now. So you could even call in with those statements as well. And you can also hit us up on Facebook. Remember, just type in Health in Harlem in the search box, and you'll see 2 handsome gentlemen pop up
sexy men.
with the WHCR logo right behind them. And you can leave your comment right there on the page. And we'll appreciate that. You're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
If you know the symptoms and get the facts, you'll know the signs of a heart attack. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if it sounds familiar, call 911.
Pain in your neck, chest,
arms, or jaw,
shortness of breath.
Please tell us more. Cold sweats and nausea, tiredness.
It's time to take it
serious. Back pain, stomach pain, shortness of breath. Cold sweats, nausea, dizziness. If you know the symptoms and heed the signs, you'll be around for a long, long time. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done,
if any
sound familiar, call 911.
Learn a song that could save your life. Get a free download at womenshealth.gov/heartattack.
Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if any sound familiar, call 911. If any sound familiar, call 911.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
911.
Hi, I'm Vinny B of the Vinny B Showcase. Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 12 midnight for some solid cultural roots music and some sweet lovers rock. Also, informative interviews and giveaways. Right here on the Vinny B Showcase every Thursday, 8 through 12 midnight on WHCR 90.3 FM. Peace.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
There are so many old moving scars.
Welcome back to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM, New York. I'm Maurice Selby.
And this is Sean Shivers.
And tonight we have with us Miss Stephanie Harewood.
The lovely Miss Harewood.
The lovely Miss Harewood. She is, that's right, that's what we do on this show.
Yeah.
All right. But Miss Harewood is the Associate Director of Volunteer Services at Harlem Hospital. And we're talking about community service tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because it is National Community Service Week. And actually, we have an announcement. But I know you have an event tomorrow. Before I get to this announcement, what's that event?
Yes, we're having our annual volunteer recognition ceremony at Harlem Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, each year we honor our volunteers. We give them awards for years of service and hours of service. We have one individual who's going to receive a pin for 1,000 hours tomorrow.
Wow.
Someone is getting the award for 10 years, someone for 5 years,
Excellent.
a lot of them for 150 hours and over. And we
Amazing.
have a nice program. We have entertainment, a keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker this year, Sean, is going to be Dr. King, Dr. James King.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Dr. King.
Dentistry, yeah.
He is the man.
He is the man. He's been on the show many
numerous
times.
times.
Yes, okay. And then we have a nice luncheon for our volunteers, just to show our appreciation
Excellent.
for all that they do.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to partake in a volunteer activity, this is something that is, we talk about, profoundly needed right now.
Very
you can
much.
volunteer your time to donate blood. Did you know that every 2 seconds in the U.S., someone needs blood? Did you know that there is no substitute for human blood, and it cannot be manufactured? And the only way that we can get this is from generous donors like yourselves out there in the listening audience. Harlem Hospital knows this all too well, and that's why they are having another major blood drive Thursday, May 9th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Harlem Hospital wants you to come out and donate blood. They want you to roll up your sleeve and donate blood to others in your community who suffer from sickle cell disease, blood disorders, and other potentially life-threatening conditions. The blood drive will be at Harlem Hospital, the main entrance on 135th Street and Lenox Avenue. The New York Blood Center staff will be set up in the second floor gallery. And the actual donation itself takes about 10 minutes. However, the benefits for another individual can last a lifetime.
Excellent.
A lifetime.
Yeah.
So bring a friend, make a difference together. You can register at 212-939-1327, or you can just walk in. Once again, that's 212-939-1327, or you can walk in 135th Street and Lenox Avenue, right across the street from the Schomburg. On a 2 train, get off at 135th,
Bam, you're there.
and it's right there.
Yep.
The 2 or the 3, and you can donate. And they even give you snacks, man. Come
Yes,
on
they
now.
do.
Free.
Snacks, free
Yes, I'm a
snacks,
donor.
apple juice.
What's that word we love, Mo?
Chips, all that free.
Thank you.
FREE
Yeah.
for your time. All right, and you make a difference. I always gotta throw that in there. Shoot, man. So getting back to our conversation, you know, we talked about the Snugs program. We had Eric Clyett, Director of Injury Prevention, on, and he talked about the circle of safety in that program and how it is making a profound impact in the community, especially in terms of dealing with youth violence intervention. So can you tell us how volunteers are probably the crux of this program? Tell us some of the work that these men are doing and how profound the work is.
Yeah, so they're using volunteers from the community, and they're called violence interrupters, or some of the volunteers are community outreach volunteers. So once an individual comes in with that type of situation, volunteer violence interrupters come on the scene. They will speak to the individuals. They will show them the film. Okay, and the whole crux of it is to turn them around, have that crucial conversation with the young person, so that they do not feel the need to go out and seek retaliation for what happened to them. So they come in, they get the phone call, the volunteers, and they come into the ED or wherever the individual is in the hospital, and they make that initial contact. Once the person is discharged from the facility, then you have volunteer community outreach workers who continue to track the progress and reach out to them and give the support that these youngsters need.
How many of these volunteers do you have that actually do this? How many do you have?
Well, I have the two that are here, that's featured in the film prominently, that are current, and we have about 7 to 8 that are in the process, finalizing the process of becoming volunteers. I think
that's definitely something that the community needs to know. And we had a segment on here as far as urban violence. We had hospital police on here, Byron Shavers on here, and they were talking about the violence around the community. I mean, around Harlem Hospital. And one thing I didn't know that they brought to my attention, and you're now bringing to our attention as well, is that the intervention, individuals that intervene and talk to these young kids who are getting shot on the streets from ages 13 on up to 21. And the big brother or mentor or whoever I see them as that. These are all volunteers from the community that come into Harlem Hospital. They could be called at the last minute. They'll drop what they're doing, come in and intervene and try to talk to these kids as far as, what happened, what are you going to do to make this the last time you're here in the hospital. And they also intervene, as far as Eric was saying, as far as making sure that individuals from the outside don't try to come into a hospital to finish the job. And I think that volunteering your time for that is excellent, because I know for a fact that there's people out there probably getting paid a lot of money to do this, but you have people volunteering to make that change, which is excellent.
Well, I'd say it's downright heroic, because I mean, people when they talk about saving these young men, we talk about the paramedics in the field that do the compressions and the ER staff that puts in the lines and make sure this person has fluids and all of that stuff. You see it on ER, you see it on the Grey's Anatomy shows and all of that. But nobody talks about these type of individuals that do, make sure that these young men are not re-injured in the future. Young men and women. Yeah. So
you're right.
Nobody talks about. But this is, sometimes we look at volunteerism and we say, oh, they're doing like little menial jobs. You're bringing water to the patient. You're helping, take care of the babies and stuff. But when we talk about volunteerism, especially in the hospital, this is an extension of the professional staff, because professional staff can't be there everywhere at one time. And I can give you a perfect example where there are patients that come in with failure to thrive, right? Meaning that they're not eating for one reason or another. And sometimes we have to have instances where we supervise these patients eating, make sure that they take in enough food or try to get in as much as possible. And you can't have your nursing staff sitting there at the patient's bedside all the time, making sure that they're
as far as that
eating this
one-to-one,
food. Or even if they're incapable of eating the food, to sit there and feed an individual, that takes time away from some of the other things that the staff can be doing. But there are volunteers in the hospital that are there to take care of this crucial element in patient inpatient care.
They
A
definitely
basic
augment
but
the staff,
crucial element.
and support the operations of the hospital.
Yes, and we talk about that. It seems like a little thing, but in terms of taking care of the patient, taking care of a human being, this is as big a contribution as you can make. Actually feeding somebody, that's like giving them life all over again.
Well, that's the question right here to you, Stephanie. Is that if there is somebody who would like to do something like that, do they have to have any special background or anything like that? Do they need to have a clinical background in order to do something? Okay, you have to have a clinical background.
Yes,
So what are the requirements for any individual that wishes to volunteer their time? What are some of the basic requirements that all volunteers must meet?
Look, all volunteers, like I said, must be of the age to volunteer.
So 16 and older.
16 to 94.
To 90. 16 plus.
16 plus.
And they must clear a background clearance. We do a background investigation on each individual. They must clear medically. If they, depending on which area of the facility they would like to volunteer their services, then we would look at certain requirements. If it's in the clinical area, then we're going to look for someone who has a nursing background. Whether this is a retired nurse, a CNA. If it's someone who wants to go into social work, then we look for those people who have those type of experiences and credentials.
Got it.
Okay.
Gotcha. Now what about outside of the clinical? Let's say non-clinical. Let's say somebody who wants to work in like food service or administrative area, or work in housekeeping,
food service,
or just in general.
Tell me, Sean, what is the requirements for a volunteer in
I was trying to get for you to say.
What would you
honestly,
be looking for?
honestly, I'm going to be totally honest with you. What I'm looking for in a volunteer is that I can teach anybody how to serve a tray. I can teach anybody how to chop up something. I need somebody with a positive attitude, somebody who wants to come in and make a difference for the patient, someone who comes who's energetic and wants to give great customer service. I can teach you the technical, but I can't teach you how to be a good person and give good customer service.
And I was just teasing Sean because we've had this conversation,
we had this conversation
several times when he's called, you know, our department asking, for volunteers.
Correct.
And one of the things that we do is we have that volunteer candidate have an interview with the department. So the department can actually sit down and talk to them and see if this is going to be a good mix.
Got it.
Okay.
So what if an individual, let's say, they became a volunteer and they started out doing one thing in the hospital, but then they say, yeah, I want to do something else. Is there a training program or something that the individual can do so that they can be mobile?
We're open to them moving on to a different department. Training programs are the mandated trainings that most of the staff have to go through. They have to go through the same thing. A lot of times they complain to me. They're like, Miss Harewood, we're doing the same thing. We have all this paper. We have to. Yes, you do. That's one of the mandates and the standards of the hospital we have to fulfill.
Yes.
So if someone decides that they want to, let's say they're working in pediatrics, and they decide they wanted to go into a different area, then we would reach out to that area to find out if there's a need for a volunteer, number one. And if there is, what type of volunteer are you looking for? What type of individual are you looking for?
Got it.
And they'll have that conversation. They'll have the interview. And if it works out, then we certainly will move them over.
And actually, I want to say real quick is that when I did bring somebody into my department volunteer, I had to actually create a volunteer functional job description for that individual. So it's on paper, the expectations, which is great. I didn't even know that, but I had to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. We're going to take our last break for the evening. Remember, you can call us at 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903. And remember, the first caller will get that prize of unspecified value.
Unspecified.
Unspeakable. Unspeakable.
I'll say, moving forward, I'm going to say unspeakable, and you're going to say unspecified. It's all good. Yin yang. It's all good.
I was saying something else before, too.
Something.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back. So stay with us. Do not turn that dial.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
can be a healthcare professional. It's never too early to think about becoming a doctor, nurse, dentist, or pharmacist. At Mentoring in Medicine's conference, you can meet various experts who will tell you how you can become a healthcare professional and what they do. Mentoring in Medicine's 7th annual Yes, I Can Be a Healthcare Professional conference will be held on Saturday, April the 27th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The conference will be held at Frederick Douglass Academy, located at 2581 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard in Harlem. This event is free and for young people ages 8 to 28. For more information, call 718-920-6626. That's 718-920-6626, or visit the website www.medicalmentor.org.
Hi, I'm Vinny B of the Vinny B Showcase. Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 12 midnight for some solid cultural roots music and some sweet lovers rock. Also, informative interviews and giveaways. Right here on the Vinny B Showcase every Thursday, 8 through 12 midnight on Whcr 90.3 FM. Peace.
Said I'm black, I'm tougher than rock.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome back to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. I'm Maurice Selby.
And this is Sean Shivers.
And tonight we have Miss Stephanie Harewood from Harlem Hospital. She's the Associate Director of Volunteer Services.
The one in charge.
The one in charge of Volunteer Services. And we're talking about community service tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It is National Community Service Week. And we gave you even some opportunities for community service. Tomorrow, the community service volunteers at Harlem Hospital will be recognized, and we even got somebody with 1,000 hours that will be honored. 10 years of service, all of it. So it's so amazing. Yeah.
No, I just want to, this question is going to Stephanie. I know a lot of times you talk about donations. Sometimes you're talking about sometimes you need clothes and shoes because there's somebody who came into the ER and they, you have to cut their clothes off. Talk more about that, about donating clothes and stuff to the hospital.
I'm so glad you brought that
up. I just thought about it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
See, I'm going to owe him big for that. So one of the things that the volunteer department do is we run the clothing bank, the clothing room at the Harlem Hospital. So we have a patient who comes in who, upon discharge, do not have clothing to go home with. We provide that clothing, and we depend on donations from the community, from our staff, and we do get a lot of donations from the staff and the community. However, we run out. We always need to replenish the clothing room. So right now we are in need of clothing, men's clothing, shoes, large men's clothing. If you can make a donation, we appreciate it. I can't name the many community organizations that have given, churches that have given to us over the years. We used to be part of the New York City Clothing Bank, but they closed down, so I no longer have a contract. They used to give me at least three donations per year, so that is no longer available to us. So if you can, please give us a donation of clothing and shoes in clean condition.
Yes.
Must be clean. You can give me a call at 212-939-3520, and we can discuss how you can make
What's that number one more time?
212-939-3520. 3520.
Yeah, because if you have any old clothes, I know, and right now it's spring clean. Isn't it spring cleaning time right now?
It's about that time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you have any unused, as she said, large size, as far as jeans, pants, I guess underwear, socks, I guess anything. No underwear. Okay, sorry. She's like, no, not that. as far as shirts and pants and shoes, and you're cleaning out your closet. Bring them over to Harlem Hospital. I mean, can that be like a tax write-off or something like that?
We do give you a letter.
Got you.
Thanking you for your donation, and you can use it for whatever purposes you need to use it for.
Excellent.
So real fast, I just want to make a point because this is something that I stated earlier in the show. That in addition to seeing the benefits in the community or for other people, you also see a lot of benefits when you serve your community, when you go out and do community service, volunteer work, and we're talking about serious health benefits as well. And from week to week on this show, we talk about these lifestyle changes, the things people can do to live a healthier lifestyle. And this is another thing that we should incorporate. And science says that we should incorporate it. And there were studies done that showed that adults over the age of 65 and older found that positive effect of volunteering on physical and mental health is due to the personal sense of accomplishment and individual gains from those volunteer activities. Another study found that volunteering led to lower rates of depression in individuals 65 and over. There was a Duke study that found that individuals who volunteered after experiencing heart attacks reported reductions in despair and depression, two factors that have been linked to increased mortality in those individuals. And there was longitudinal data that found that individuals over 70 that volunteered approximately 100 hours had a less of a decline in self-reported health and functioning levels. And this all makes sense when we really think about it, because from week to week we talk about how things, if you don't use it, you lose it a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And the mental and physical things that you're doing when you're participating in volunteer work, you're walking around with your legs, you're using your mind to engage another individual, you're making social contacts, making new friends, new connections.
You're not being forced. My thing is that you're not being forced. No. You're doing something that you like, and you're setting your own hours. And I think that right there is job satisfaction.
Exactly, and it shows in the health.
It's something you're doing from the heart.
Mm-hmm. And it benefits your heart.
You feel when you do something for someone, you feel good.
Correct.
And you know what? I'm not even going to front, though, because I know there's people like, I want my Saturday mornings, this and that. But guess what? And I'll tell you firsthand, there's numerous times where I was going for some volunteer event to participate in a health fair, whatever it is. And I wake up and I'm like, really, son? Like, why did I do this?
But once you get there, the energy, boom.
Once you get there and you start working with people and you see what you're doing, and that people appreciate the work that you're doing, you feel amazing after. You might feel exhausted too at the same time, and it's just the same on this show each week. Coming up to Harlem from Brooklyn, I'm like, oh man,
and I'm like that too. But actually, once we sit in this chair and the light shines,
and we get going,
hey.
And we get callers calling in,
lights, camera, action,
to ask questions, and we're informing people. It's worth it at the end of the day.
Okay. But that's excellent for bringing that up, Mo. I never knew as far as that study. Whatever.
It shows.
One thing I want to, before we go, because I think this is something that we should definitely talk about. Big Apple Circus Clown Care Hospital Program. Can you get into more details about that? Because we had a little conversation about my experience, but can you get into a little bit more about that? I got you giggling
because they make you smile. They really do make you smile. The Big Apple Circus Clown Care Hospital Program has been in existence for over 25 years, and the clowns have been visiting the pediatric patients at Harlem Hospital for over 21 years. So you come into the hospital and you don't expect to see clowns.
You don't.
You really don't. And they're
that
in
is the
full
last
costume.
place I would expect to see a clown.
They are in full costume. And they're always up to these antics. They'll meet you in the hallway by the elevator, and they will engage you. You can't run away. You can't hide. They will engage you. And Julie who's the supervisor
That's
of the clowns.
Julie.
Yes, Julie, I'm confused. That's her name.
Okay.
She has the clowns up, and they go to the pediatric units. They entertain the kids. They do puppets. They're acrobats, magicians. They do everything.
They be in the lobby. I see
And
them
they
in the lobby.
entertain us.
Yeah.
They entertain the staff. So, it's good because the children who are down, like he's saying,
You're right.
who are upset for being in the hospital, might have just had surgery or something like that, and their clown comes in, and they're doing all these things, and next thing you know, they're smiling, they're cheerful, they're happy.
Or not even that. Like my experience with them is that in the waiting area at Harlem Hospital. Well, I'm not gonna tell you my real experience with them, but in the waiting area, and everybody's always talking about they're waiting forever in the hospital. Trying to, but when those clowns go in there and they start, doing whatever, people minds is taken off of. I've been sitting there, for a long period of time. They're concentrating on those clowns who's making everybody smile with it, and that's the plus of the whole thing.
Maybe I should volunteer for that job, man. I like to make people smile.
Put on that clown
be
suit.
a clown for a day, and it's perfectly fine.
On a Saturday,
nobody can say anything to me. Be like, hey, I'm
on
doing my job.
Give me a call. I'll hook you up with Julie.
That sounds like a plan. So, as we wrap up, Ms. Harewood, what would you say is the most important message people in the listening audience should take home tonight when we talk about volunteerism, when we talk about serving the community? What is the most important thing they should take home tonight?
I think that there are always opportunities. We all have different talents that we can bring to the table. But one thing that I find most human beings have is the need to help others, to do something good, to make a difference. And if you volunteer, you definitely will make a difference. You definitely will help someone. It's important.
Excellent.
And at Harlem Hospital, you have the opportunity to do that.
Right. What's so funny is that right before the show, before we had this show, and then we wanted to talk about volunteer services, I was saying in my head, what are we going to talk about?
For an hour.
But you know what? We talked about a lot. And I know that there's still a lot of stuff that we can talk about just from the conversation.
I said that before the show. I was like, it goes so fast. And we always end up wishing we had more time.
Yes.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, Vinny B from the Vinny B Showcase is in the house,
ready
to go. He's getting his stuff set up right now. Now, real fast, before we close out, Ms. Harewood, what is the number that people can call if they wish to? We want to give that number out one more time if they wish to volunteer.
212-939-3520.
All right.
And also, too, please donate your clothes to the hospital. We can definitely use them. So please call Ms. Harewood and make that donation. And also, real quick, I want to let everybody know, please tune in next week for our next show. We're going to be talking about asthma. A lot of individuals in this community are suffering from the symptoms of asthma. Make every breath count. That's going to be our topic next week. We're going to have Dr. DeFolo. Oh, sorry, I can't pronounce. I'm going to say DINOLFO. If I pronounce your name incorrectly, my apologies. But in any case, we're going to be talking about asthma, and it's going to be a heavy topic again.
That's what's up. And lastly, before we close out, I just want to make this last announcement about the Yes, I Can Be a Healthcare Professional.
I can.
Advocating for my community. This conference is going down this Saturday, April 27th, 2013. This will be happening from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon at the Frederick Douglass Academy, located at 2581 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard, which is 7th Avenue. It's between 148th and 150th Street. You take the 3 train to the last stop, and it'll put you out right underneath the high school. Once again, the Yes, I Can Be a Healthcare Professional Conference at the Frederick Douglass Academy, Saturday, April 27th, 2013. Listen out for the cart. On this station. We've been playing it every day on this station, so just listen out for more information. And that's it. You can go to www.mimny.7.eventbrite.com. I know it's long, but that's the site where you can go on and register. www.mimny7.eventbrite.com. I want to thank Sean Shivers.
I want to thank you.
And you're welcome, my brother. My pleasure. And Miss Harewood, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I want to thank Miss Valerie Wright. She's the producer of Health in Harlem. This show is dedicated to the memory of Miss Gloria Thomas. Harlem, take care of yourself.
Whcr 90.3 FM, New York.
Righteous. Can't you see the sign of the time we're living in? Got to use it every day. It's what we need today. Oh, you got to use it every day. It's what we need today. Wisdom and knowledge will guide you through. Don't you be the devil too. No, you can't guide a people without a vision. You shall surely go astray. The Bible can teach you wisdom, whether you wise or you dumb. An elder can teach you wisdom, whether you're old or you're young. Oh, wisdom, oh, wisdom, oh, wisdom. Only a fool trust in his own eye and disregard correction. You got to be humble, free from anger, and your days shall be low. You gotta use every day. It's what we need today. You gotta use it, yeah. Every day. It's what we need today. Oh, wisdom. All right now. Oh, wisdom. Hey.
Fellow citizens of Africa, I greet you in the name of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League of the World. As you are aware, the world in which we live today is divided into separate race groups and distinct nationalities. Each race and each nationality is endeavoring to work out its own destiny to the exclusion of other races and other nationalities. We hear the cry of England for the Englishman, of France for the Frenchman, of Germany for the German, of Ireland for the Irish, of Palestine for the Jew, of Japan for the Japanese, of China for the Chinese. We of the Universal Negro Improvement Association are raising the cry of Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. The great problem of the Negro for the last 500 years has been that of disunity. No one or no organization ever succeeded in uniting the Negro race.
the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of men. You can imprison the bodies of men. But you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of men. Chant it down. Chant it down. Words from Marcus Messiah Garvey. Words, sound, and power. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know what we are thinking. They're thinking in terms of dreadnoughts, battleships, aeroplanes, submarines. You know what we're thinking about? That is our own private business. Chant them down. Chant them down. Words from Marcus Messiah Garvey. Words, sound, and power. Black men of Carthage, black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt. Because classes, nations, races have been quite for over 4 centuries, who was merely born of use, insult, humiliation, whose forbearance can only be compared to the prophet Job, as likewise lifted his bowed head and raised it up to God's skies and cried out, I am a man, and demand a man's chance and a man's treatment in this world. But I shall teach the black man, I shall teach the black man to see beauty in his own kind and stop bleaching his skin and otherwise looking like what he's not. African freedom, African freedom, chant them down, chant them down. God made man Lord of his creation, gave him possession and ownership of the world. And you have been so darned lazy that you've allowed the other fellow to run away with the whole world, and now he's bluffing you and telling you that the world belongs to him and that you have no part in it. I don't have to apologize to anybody for being black, because God Almighty knew exactly what he was doing when he made me black. If black people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves. Yes, you heard of Johnny Walker Red and black. Well, he had his adversities, but he's still going strong. Well, I intend with your help and God's grace to continue, because my work has only just begun. And future generations shall have in their hands the guide by which they shall know the sins of the 20th century. I know, and I know you too believe in time, but we shall wait patiently for 200 years if need be to face our enemies through our posterity. When my enemies are satisfied, in life I shall come back, or in death even to serve you as I served before. In life I shall be the same, in death I shall be a terror to the cold. Come in an earthquake or a plague or a pestilence, or as God would have me, then be assured that I shall never desert you and make your enemies triumph over you. Will I not go to hell a million times for you? If I die in Atlanta, my work will only just then begin. For I shall live in the physical or the spiritual to see the day of Africa's glory. When I am dead, wrap the mantle of the red, the black and the green around me, for in the new life I shall rise up first with God's grace and blessing, to lead the millions of the heights and the triumph that you well know. Look for me in a world when there is storm. Look for me all around you. For with God's grace, I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa, to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. African freedom, African freedom. George Washington did it. Africa with 400 million black people can do it. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you will die. You race of cowards, you race of imbeciles, you race of good for nothing. If you cannot do what other men have done, what other nations have done, what other races have done, then you have better die.
Teach them, Gavi, teach them. Want them, Gavi, want them. Tell them, Gavi, tell them. Chant them down. Chant them down. Gavi, Marcus, Gavi. Chant them down. Chant them down. Gavi.
Can we do it? We can do it. We shall do it.
African must do it. African must do it. African got to do it. Chant them down. Chant them down. Gavi, Marcus, Mosiah, great prophet from Jamaica to Africa. Chant them down.
We'll be fighting. It's not against yellow, red, or whiteys. Our physical, natural enemies. Asexual orientation, the religious affiliation, the prolonging, poised with promiscuity, or one's gender is not a concern. As
Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Revoluting for a cause, just because that all Babylon cause. We're bonding for revolution. Bound to a bloody revolution.
the revolution will not focus on landlords against land leases, lessers, management or union heads against the unrepresented workers, or on upsurges, gang or clan attacks. No, not the haves against the have-nots. The unemployable, the undereducated, malnourished, unwanted, against whom a system plotted. No, but a revolution destined on the script of black survival will take place. Not mothers against daughters, nor sons against the entire family. First, second, or third, the class system won't come up. But a revolution is a must. The boundaries based on the remnants of religious, geopolitical, or educational compliance crumble to the stroke of store-bought whiteouts as insignificant.
We're breaking down the party. Africa's capitals. None can stop me.
WHCR
No marching
90.3
in the
FM,
streets.
New York.
Placards, bandanas, slogans, or ideologies draw no attention to a generation's wants, needs, or gap. A revolution without planned bloodshed or the onslaught known as black on black. No propaganda to trivialize the agenda, as the media broadcasts won't know what's up, while this revolution will take place deliberately in all major cities, small villages, and one-man towns. The revolution to free the black man's mind is a must, as the black mind for hundreds of years has been in a captive state, in stagnant negativity, in a mental debt, committing genocidal suicide. The mind needs to be rescued, yet the smallest towns, freedom resulting from bloodshed, the action of insurrection, the bloodiness of a revolt for liberation is a must. Jobs will be given and taken, apartments, shelters, jails, tours, cars to the corner shops on fire. Yes, promises given and rejected, as his story told. A bloody, wretched past. Leaders voted in and leaders' lies taken. Families.
Well, this is a speech to all Jamaicans and the rest of the world, especially for those who have been victimized of their own civil rights and have been badly brutalized by just saying the right thing. I'm now presenting myself to you as a victim of this system of organized crime, which have been supported by a committed set of people whose conscience is piercing wicked, who have lost the feelings of mankind, who have always remained shame. They use us as target. They're licensed to kill and committed legal crime with promises of protection by their so-called constitution, which is the climax of inhuman. Because they have been strongly supported by their ministers, judges, lieutenants, commissioners, lawyers, who have spent years studying how to defend, preserve, and disguise their guilty activity of injustice. They talk about force, Jamaica Defense Force, Jamaica Constabulary Force, which is force of ignorance, pure ignorance. When we speak the truth about our living experience of injustice, they use force to quiet you. They drill to kill to live, because they don't know how to live to live. Then they sing Jamaica land we love. Forget about the people. So now you know that we realize we don't need your protection. You're too inquisitive in our life. We have heart of flesh. We don't need mental lead nor copper to protect us. What we need is not what you have to offer. Our need comes from God. So now we demand your subtraction from our life. Surely we can make it without you. You and your dirty way of living, who at present cause our children to be suffering the inconvenience of today's transportation disaster. So the educational background can remain inferior, dark and illiterate. Then we become their target. We graduate from school straight into the prison. Prison which we now demand to be diminished. Then we would know who's the real criminal. Yes, away with the prison. Then we would know who's the real criminal.
It's complex, it's very complex. It's complex, it's very complex. Why is it complex? It's just complex. I'm under the pretext upon I was cast the hex, the effects. I write and recite text. Am I blessed or cursed? Wait, before you say yeah or nay, I must say first, it matters not what you say. I'm gonna say what I have to say. If you think I'm arrogant, I'm sorry if it seems that way. I can explain why it does, but it will take all day. It's complex, it's very complex. Why is it complex? It's just complex. Take a life of conflict and strife into context. The effects from being on one's toes. Mo's the type who readily goes wherever, whenever a good wind blows. One seldom knows where one may be next. The context of a life of conflict and strife. It's complex, it's very complex. It's complex, it's very complex. Religion or a complex division. Check the effects they have on man. Divide man into fractions like seas divide the land. And when they mix up with conflicts between Anglicans, Catholics, Evangelists, Baptists and whatever I missed, you can add to this however you choose. Muslims, Jews, upper and lower caste, Hindus. Under politics, add race and class to the mix of Republicans, Democrats, Socialists, Communists and big business too. Can you tell who is who? Or is it too complex? It's complex, it's very complex. It's complex, it's very complex. Love is my solution because I understand it's complex. So I hold my rage, vex it on the page, otherwise I never get vexed. Vexed at this stage, at my age, please. God is love, and God provide the trees that set my mind at ease so I can flex my mental capabilities. And in times like these, where so many in Africa are still dying from disease, war, starvation, I hear a nation crying. There's no denying, I feel it, so I must reveal it, even though it's very, very, very complex, complex. It's very complex. Complex, complex. It's very complex. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. Why is it complex? It's just complex. I'm under the pretext upon I was cast the hex. The effects.
Whcr 90.3 FM, New York.
Amigos oyentes, es propicia la ocasión para instarlos a colaborar económicamente para mantener en el aire a 90.3 FM. El viernes 17 de mayo de 8 de la mañana a 8 de la noche. Es nuestro Gran Radio Maratón 2013. Tu contribución permitirá mantener en el aire este importante medio de comunicación, que es la voz de todos. WHCR 90.3 FM. Te invita William Torres, tu designado.
Man Up in Harlem is a by men for men ministry that focuses on creating positive changes in the Harlem community through prayer and community service. The group hosts a men's empowerment hour every Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Polo Grounds House and Community Room, and a weekly prayer walk every Thursday morning in several locations. At the prayer walk, members pray together in a football-style huddle about community issues. Man Up in Harlem's slogan is "Don't talk about it, be about it." If you'd like to join a prayer walk, meet at 6 a.m. at the 155th subway station for the Polo Grounds House Walk, or at the Dunkin' Donuts at 126 in Amsterdam for the Grand House Walk. For more information, please check out www.manupharlem.org.
The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT of New York City, provides assistance in preparing and recovering from emergencies. CERT assists first responders and provides staffing for city shelters in response to disasters and extreme weather conditions. City College is one of the many locations for hurricane evacuation. CERT team members are local and live amongst the community, so they are always there for the people. CERT members will speak to any organization about emergency planning for the elderly, children, and the disabled. They offer workshops in creating go bags, emergency communication, and evacuation plans, and shelter-in-place kits. To learn how to prepare for emergencies, call South Harlem CERT at 917-406-6661.
Can you imagine waking up to a phone call telling you that your child was killed? How about seeing your little cousin lying in the street with a gunshot wound? Or reading in a daily paper that the star basketball player in your school was shot and killed? When young children and teenagers die without getting the chance to experience life, it not only affects parents, it affects us all. Violence in the city of New York has been on the rise for too long because our youth lack opportunities. Kids hanging on the street corners in Harlem need alternatives like job trainings. So help become a solution. Join Street Corner Resources. Street Corner Resources is at the forefront in helping to eliminate gun and gang violence. They also provide education, employment training, and other resources to the community. For more information on how you can join or support Street Corner Resources, visit streetcornerresources.org. Don't allow children to fail. Allow them to choose.
Let's go to church. Let's go to church.
It's Morning Praise with Dalton Anderson. Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen and enjoy the best in contemporary, traditional, quartet, gospel comedy, holy hip-hop, and gospel house music with the man who knows how to wake and bake and shake you right out your gospel beds. It's Morning Praise with Dalton Anderson, Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. on Whcr 90.3 FM. Let's go to church. Come on.
Harlem Holistic Wellness Week is from Saturday, April 27th through Saturday, May 4th. Harlem Holistic Wellness Week is a 7-day celebration highlighting the many holistic health options available to the greater Harlem community. On Saturday, April the 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., World Tai Chi and Qigong Day will be held in St. Nicholas Park. Grandmaster Abdul Whcr, Grandmaster Roosevelt Gainey, and Dr. Robert J. Woodbine will give many seminars. Key energy treatments, Reiki, and auricular acupuncture will also be available. St. Nicholas Park is located at 135th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue. Harlem Holistic Wellness Week will end on Saturday, May 4th with an expo at the Great Hall at the City College of New York. Information on ways to combat diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, obesity, and more will be available. Information on aromatherapy, cancer care support, healthy eating and fitness will also be available. The Great Hall at City College is located at 140th Street and Convent Avenue. Other special events during Harlem's Wellness Week will include an open house day at participating Harlem yoga schools, a wellness film festival, and alternative health workshops. For more information on Harlem Holistic Wellness Week 2013, call 646-329-6727. That's 646-329-6727. Earthquake Entertainment presents the live concert series on Friday, May 3rd at 8 p.m. The live concert series will feature live African drums and dance by Dar Essence. Enjoy an exciting evening with special guest Day as he performs your favorite hits from the 90s to the present. That's the live concert series held on Friday, May 3rd at the Oberia Dempsey Theater. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. Show starts at 8 p.m. The Oberia Dempsey Theater is located at 127 West 127th Street between Lenox and 7th Avenues. For tickets and more information, call 917-364-8053. That's 917-364-8053. Or visit www.earthquake-ent.com.
I tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. Tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. Tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. I'm holding on to life. Whoa, I've got a long desert to cross and I fought many more miles to walk. The dust is blowing, covering up the path. Sometime I got to wonder if I would get lost. Now that everyone turned their backs on me, Lord, I'm falling down here on my knees. I am dying from hunger and thirst. Now that things is getting from bad to worse. Ain't no one there to give us a dollar. The whole of them sit back and take us for laughter. But though I try hard with all my might, things never seems to work out right. Got to find me a place before this night. I tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. Tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. Tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. I'm holding on to life. Whoa, fight for survival. It's not only me. Put your trust in the Father and He'll set you free. So life ain't fair, still I gather there in the stress, the chaos, the pressures and fear. It seems that no one cares if you live or disappear. We all got a taste from the stress and the day. Learn from your mistake, no matter what it takes, to avoid that destruction that lies along the way. Patience is a virtue, that's what they say. Times are too hard, so don't procrastinate. Take a rest in the shade, it's alright to take a break. The road to my future, it's a very long way. I tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. Tried so many times and I failed in life, still I'm holding on to life. I'm holding on to life. Whoa, I've got a long desert to cross and I fought many more miles to walk. The dust is blowing, covering up the path. Sometime I got to wonder if I would get lost. Now that everyone turned their backs on me, Lord, I'm falling down here on my knees. So I am dying from hunger and thirst. Now that things is getting from bad to worse. Ain't no one there to give us a dollar. The whole of them sit back and take us for laughter. But though I try hard with all my might, things never seems to work out right. Got to find me a place before this night. We're still holding on.
The road is long, with many a winding turn. Entebbe. He's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. Entebbe, he's my brother. If I'm letting, I'm letting with sadness that everyone's heart even filled with gladness of love on one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why that shade.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
The road is long with many a winding turn that lead us to who knows where, who knows where.
youth, man.